money, although we are mixing it in here, and that's what makes it very confusing in our heads, I think. It almost would have been better to do 3 funding streams for this, but this is where we're at. So we need to pay attention to where we were at a point in time with what our budget is and what is obligated. And anything after that point in time needs to come from the GAE and needs approval from OEC. So I'm a tad concerned that we could still be in a bit of a mess over it on the dollar side of it.
So one thing that you know, it sounds like isn't quite clear to everyone is that like no one is entering in additional like fields. So you know, like I said, this field here, this is editable. This is, you're going to go to your contract, you're going to see, oh, I have $10,000 for direct QI budget for participants. That goes in there, that does not change.
And that should be the dollar amount that was in that amended contract that we just sent out.
Okay.
So it'll be specifically on your RTT operating as QI funds. And that'll be the amount that'll be listed as direct QI budget.
Okay.
So then anything, it sounds like to me, anything that comes that is allocated in special QI allocation, that'll be from the GAE account.
And will be in addition to your budget.
Right. Okay. And so first I have to spend that. So say that is my budget that I have $10,000. Once I've spent all that, then the MOUs will start connecting or whatever to that special QI funds.
Exactly.
But so it's not only just a point in time when they say, when OEC says you can start spending out of GAE now, or the GAE process is now working. It's that point in time plus I'd have to have spent that $10,000.
Yep, so, you know, the goal that we were trying to accomplish here was that we wanted to be, you know, as similar as possible to the ones before. So from your perspective, everything is exactly the same. You know, like with other funding streams, if you attempt to send an MOU and you don't have enough funds, it just says, no dice, you can't send it, we don't want you to over-obligate yourself. And so we're still effectively doing that, except the difference here is that now we're calling in the OEC and saying, hey, you know, this provider really wants to join, we think you have some extra funds in this general accounting encumbrance, can we take some of that money and use it to approve this additional requisition? And so you can see, you know, that's where this QI dollar allocation comes in. And so I just approved an MOU, and so you can see, like, you know, right now it's 10,000, and the total direct QI budget, which is not editable, but this is what really you're spending on QI dollars. This is going to change when I refresh this page, because I just sent an MOU, so it pulled down from the GAE, and now you can see that we have $300 that we got from the GAE, and now instead of just our $10,000 budget from our contract, we really have $10,300 to spend on QI dollars.
So it's those two added together.
Exactly. So 10,000 plus 300 equals 10,300.
Yes.
But is it that quick?
Yep. That is exactly what's going to happen.
Okay.
Once
So-
that process that they can start triggering the pull from GAE anyway, it's that quick.
So once we approve it, that happens.
Yep.
As soon as they hit the
But
button.
that's what I'm saying, how long, I mean, they open GAE, you go in and you overspend whatever.
Nah, you don't.
Well, no, you spend your 10,000,
Uh-huh.
okay? And then you submit that, and
So
it
you
goes to OEC or it goes to,
So again, you don't submit anything. You don't need to contact OEC directly. We do it for you. We take care of everything. So from your perspective, you have an MOU that you like to approve, you hit send MOU, and if you can, it will. And if it can't, OEC is notified and they come in.
So, y'all, that $10,000 is already obligated MOUs. So,
okay.
Kind of.
kind of.
We cushion.
Well, there's a little bit of a
extra in that, that's above.
But that
what you
should
guys asked
be, for the most part, already obligated. So if it helps to think of it that way, that's that list that was given to us by your coordinators or by your QI, lead QI NAS. So you've already obligated that $10,000. So in theory, you shouldn't have to be pulling from there unless, there is a little bit of a cushion that was built in. So if that is the case, that's the only reason you should be pulling from that. This is those guys that maybe last year they reached a level 2 and they're now ready, and you've obligated that money and now they're ready to spend. They are showing up in that $10,000 pool. And this is also, it's the same money, right, that we amended the contracts to add into your contracts so that you guys can feel comfortable spending that money, right? So that you can see it in that contract. So I hope that that helps.
So I think one of the things, Teresa, was, and we were wondering, is when you submit an MOU that you don't have money in your budget for because all of your budget should be allocated, should be encumbered to programs that have already been approved, and it sends notice to OEC, what is the return, time for that approval once it's generated?
That's on us.
To OEC, and how will the councils be notified that that MOU was approved? Because are we going to be a signer on that as well? Will we be
So
a third signer? Will we not be a signer?
So the signing works the same as before. So it's still the primary contact of the site and the primary contact of the council.
But the OEC is going to generate the MOU from their approval, and then we're going to be notified that we're signers.
So, yep, so they're going to be the ones who actually trigger the send MOU that actually sends the MOU as opposed to putting it in a place, which is probably what will happen to you if you don't have the funds for it.
And somebody should be being copied that MOU was triggered
Okay.
and is out there. And then you can also go into application statuses
And we'll
to
still be able
see.
to see what status those applications are in as they're awaiting approval from OEC.
Yep, and so just like before, the only difference is that when you try and send an MOU and you don't have sufficient funds, it'll go into waitlist.
Got it.
And that is, OEC will come in and they'll be running reports saying, show me all waitlisted RTP applications, and then they're going to go through and approve them as they see fit. And so once they hit send MOU, it'll look like any other application that's out for MOU. It'll be in out for MOU status, and you can see in the status detail who's it's waiting on. Okay.
And then I think the other part to your question was, what's the process once OEC receives it?
Yeah.
And we are looking at our process as being like a week turnaround. So we're going to add into our workflow that we check it weekly, and then we go ahead and do those approvals. Is that?
If not sooner.
Yeah.
But if you haven't heard from us, if you haven't seen a turnaround in a week, that's when you need to call us and find out what the heck's going on.
And then just one other question, because in the last TA day, there was a discussion about those drawdowns from the general accounting, including materials lists that would specifically be approved. Is that something that you guys are going to be looking at, or is that not? Because that seems...
So for all QI reimbursement, we still need by license number what was the amount. I don't know if that's the.
Now, that I understand. For
Yeah.
our reimbursement, I understand that. But I'm wondering, so since when we do our QI budgeting and we approve QI spending and they spend through the EC Connect system and we don't request the materials list when they put in the application. We approve them based on the approval criteria. And we work with them to build their QI materials list to make their purchase. Is that still going to be the process, or is OEC going to want to know what materials they're purchasing
No,
before
the process
they...
will not change.
Okay.
We don't know the programs, you guys are the ones working with them.
Thank you.
And just to add to that, the spending, by that point, the money has already been allocated.
Right.
So OEC has said you can have these funds, you can spend them how you guys see fit, and obviously you have to do the reimbursement and all the other stuff like that. But yes.
So when it gets sent to OEC to approve,
the OEC will then put in the QI dollars and coaching funds?
No, it should already have that. And then what we're checking is that a level has been obtained, right? And then we're also checking to see that if for some reason it's a different amount than based on the classrooms than what it is, how that was paid for. And how that amount was there. So if you transferred money in from your pooled funds or all that, that's what we're looking at.
And so you wouldn't be able to do that because you can only transfer from approved requisitions.
Okay, so it should be the base amount, so that would be the base amounts that would be,
So Sugar's gonna generate the formula for the amount that will be
Right.
awarded, and we will not be able to
We
edit
don't have to do that?
Correct.
Because we can't edit that until,
Yep, so
It's a
the
requisition.
creation of the application, the creation of the requisitions, the formulas that are being used, those are all the same. So just like before, when someone applies, you should expect that you can go into Sugar and, find an application that's associated with their site record, and that application should have 2 requisitions, $1 and 1 coaching. And one thing to add to that, if you are a council that uses external funds, you should make sure to do the switch before you try to send the
can
MOU.
you show that?
Yeah.
That is
Absolutely.
always an issue, is doing the switch between internal and external coaching before you send the MOU, or before you.
And what if you have sent the MOU and didn't change it, can you change it after?
So,
So the question was whether or not you could switch between internal and external hours after you send the MOU.
Yeah.
You do it, did you say after?
so
We want to know when and how and to do it properly, because after you send the MOU, it's harder, because then you have to split the.
So it is harder. And so it becomes tricky because basically you're going to have to fiddle with your budget. Because basically at the point that you're calling to use the GAE, you're, at the $0 budget remaining, right? And so when you do that conversion, which is different from switching assignment types, a conversion is basically saying I have all these internal hours, but really I wanted external hours. And so if you ever look at the transfer subpanel on requisition, when you do that, you'll notice that there's, on the one that you transferred from, it doesn't transfer from the internal to the external. It transfers from the internal to the pooled internal. And then it creates an external and transfers from the pooled external to the pooled, or to the provider external. Yeah, exactly. Right, so,
And that piece has really messed us up, because
Yeah.
when things go into pooled, it's really difficult. There's no way to pull that record to know what's in there other than to look at the total pooled amount in Sugar. And so when we're trying to reconcile, the pool has really messed me up in trying to make sure that we get spent. So and especially with internal, external coaching,
so it's really important too that it's done right, because if you're doing external coaching, that means that it's not built into your budget, and you will be invoicing the OEC for those hours, and those external coaching hours will come out of the GAE, right? Whereas if it's internal, it's already part of your budget, right? Am I understanding this correct?
Depends on the council.
Generally.
Would it be,
Then I'll
that's
stop.
why we need to know how to do that.
so let me
before-
show you how to do
yeah.
that first.